to Inside Independence, a show about Independence Township, brought to you by Independence Township Cable Television. My name is Joette Kuntz. I'll be your host today, and I'm a longtime resident and retired teacher. And today I'm so pleased to have our guests, Don Carter from the American Legion, Don Davis from the American Legion, Amy Laboissonniere from the American Legion, and Alex Sennabaum from Clarkston Junior High, teacher of American history there. For many years in this community, we have had a Memorial Day parade and program, and the American Legion has done that. It's a great community event, and unfortunately in 2019, COVID hit, and you have been doing a private, tell us what you've been doing in private, but not a public event.
Well, we had the Honor Guard was there. We lowered the flag and played, had a rifle volley and played taps and raised the flag. It was pretty much a very short ceremony. A few people showed up that was already there. So it was something that we had to do.
Yeah, that's good. So just a reminder to people, Memorial Day is a time to honor those people who have died in battle. Sometimes people get confused with Veterans Day. Veterans Day honors all veterans alive and deceased, but Memorial Day is for those soldiers who have died, or soldiers, sailors, Marines, Coast Guard, who have died in battle and never came home. So, but this year is different, and we're getting back together. And Amy, do you want to tell us about what the program is going to be? It's open to everyone, is that correct?
Sure. We are inviting everyone to join us this year at Lakeview Cemetery. Our service will be Monday, May 29th. We'll start at Depot Park, and marchers from the American Legion Post will start in Depot Park and march to the cemetery. And then once at the cemetery, we gather around the flagpole and we have a service. Don can probably tell you a little bit more about what's included in the service, but we include the schools. We have kids from the schools come out and offer their thoughts on different topics that they are given. We include the band. The band comes out and plays for us.
And the band's going to lead you on, will lead you on to Depot Park, or you'll have the colors, right?
Oh, yes.
Well, yeah, we start from home, Depot Park in downtown. Takes about a 15-minute march. And once we get there and get set up, and that's when we start with, I believe, raising the flag and national anthem. And
so our program takes place in Lakeview Cemetery.
yes.
And that's 6150 White Lake Road, right across from Deer Lake Athletic Club. So for people that may not know, put it in your GPS. And there is some parking in the cemetery, not a lot, but you can also join in and park at Depot Park and wherever you can find parking, or maybe at Neiman's, something like that. So, Don, kind of walk us through what the program's going to be.
Well, we start with the flag raising, and I have a schedule, but we'll go by. And the students will speak. We have, I believe, 3 students.
2 to 3, yes.
2 to 3 students, and they will speak at different times. And we have a choir group that will sing. And then at some point, I believe, we do we present the wreath. So, and then we'll do the rifle volley, and then the band, they play the taps, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
So.
Very moving,
Yes.
kind of tears.
Then we call all the veterans
Yes.
that have served up. And for those that haven't been there before, we present them with a medal acknowledging their service.
And we thank each one and give them the split.
Yes, as a former, I shouldn't say a former veteran, but as a veteran, I've been part of that, and it's very, very moving. And
well, a lot of the people that gather, when we call them up, a lot of them that come up have been there before. And so we don't bother them with another medal, but we do shake and thank them for the service.
Well, I think that's appreciative. Now, let's talk about the students, because you've partnered with the American Legion for a number of years. And
I'm trying to do the math in my head, and I think it's almost 14 or 15 years now we've been doing the speech contest.
It's been longer than that. I think I have been doing the honor guard for 13 years.
Okay.
My first paperwork. And I helped Barney then, so it was probably a few years before that.
A number of years now.
Yes.
It's surprising how fast it goes, but it has been a while.
Because that was 2013, yes.
well, it's wonderful to see the youth of the community. So kind of talk about the process you go through to get the speakers and what they do, what their part in the program is.
Well, the theme for the kids in their speech is why it's important to celebrate Memorial Day. So the kids attack that topic in a variety of different ways, talking about the history of the holiday, a family member that served, just what they've learned in history class, and then they write a speech anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes long, and we have a contest, and matter of fact, we are judging tomorrow for this contest. And we'd like to pick about anywhere from 1 to 3 speakers, depends upon the program and the time that we have allotted to us. And usually from that pool, we're able to get a couple speakers, and then we choose a kid who has an excellent speaking voice but did not win to read the Gettysburg Address.
Okay. And that's always pretty moving too.
Absolutely.
So what have your kids told you about being part of that, or what have the parents or the people who at the program talked about the kids? Because I've listened to them. I've been so impressed sometimes. So
the kids do an outstanding job, and I think they enter into the contest just for the opportunity for a little bit of extra credit. I'm sure there's an incentive there for the kids, but I don't think they realize just the gravity of what they're going to do when they give the speech. Because when they walk up there, they're excited, but they have no idea what to expect. And there's a couple hundred people there. We have the American Legion, of course. There's usually a flyover that happens. We have the Civil War reenactors. And I think they're a little bit awestruck by all the pomp and circumstance that is Memorial Day. It is a significant holiday on our calendar. And they are a part of a very well done, put together program that means a lot to this community. So I think for them it is one of those growing up like experiences that we want kids to have as they make their way through school. It's worthwhile for them.
well, Clarkston's always a great community, and this partnership between the two of you is just great. People are everyone is welcome, whether you live here or you live, because there are people buried in that cemetery that are, from Waterford or Springfield or whatever. I always bring a chair.
We encourage
or a
people to bring a
blanket.
chair or a blanket.
Yeah.
The ceremony typically is maybe about an hour long. So if you're not comfortable, some people are not comfortable standing that long, we encourage you to bring something that will make you more comfortable.
We bring out our chairs, but typically it's not enough for the number of people that show up.
Well, Lakeview Cemetery has about 9,000 grave sites, and about 1,100 of those are veterans. I mean, there's a good population. I mean, there's 2 Revolutionary War veterans. There's a couple of War of 1812. I think we're up to 52 Civil War veterans.
That's great.
There's a Spanish-American War veteran. It's a Merchant Marine veteran, with lots of World War I and II veterans, and a few Iraqi and Afghanistan veterans. Many of those now go to the Great Lakes Cemetery, but Lakeview has been there since 1832. So people in the earlier years are there. And I know, Amy, your parents, your father, who was a veteran, and my father was a veteran, are there too. So, it's a great place to be, to remember Memorial Day. But I wanted to share a little bit of a story about sort of how Memorial Day started in Lakeview Cemetery. There were 6 Valete cousins who went to the Civil War. And as I said, 52 Civil War veterans are buried there. They're not all from Clarkston. Some are from the communities around us. But Nelson Valete one of the 6 Billy cousins, was taken prisoner in the Civil War and taken to Andersonville Prison, which was a notorious prison, and probably, well, I shouldn't say probably, he died of disease or starvation. I'm not sure which. And he is buried, he's buried at Andersonville Prison. There is a ceptaph, which is a monument to him, but the body is not there, in Lakeview Cemetery. And his wife was Elizabeth Vliet, and she was probably the initiator of Decoration Day at the time. In the early 1870s, people were going to grave sites, putting flowers on it, and they called it Decoration Day. It was May 30th until somewhere in the 70s when it became the last Monday in May or something like that. If you've been to a program and you've seen the ladies in black putting flowers on the graves, and that it was in honor of Elizabeth Vliet. And, but the best, I should say the best part, she continued that on until the early 1900s when she passed away. And then her daughter took over for her and had helped her before she passed away. But around the 1930s, she too was getting older, and the American Legion stepped up to help put flowers on the graves. Now they don't do that anymore, but
we do put American flag with every veteran grave.
You do that, yes,
That's
yes.
happening Sunday.
And that's Sunday
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning. So there'll be a flag on every veteran's grave. So that's wonderful. But that's sort of the story of how, to some degree, the American Legion came to be with that. And there's some pictures that you will see on that. And an article that from the Clarkston News of the very early 1930s. So thanks to your post for all the work you do to honor the veterans. Now, I Googled the American Legion and realized that you're 100 years old. The American Legion is 100 years old. Came out of World War I veterans.
Yep. Correct.
And so here was some of the things that they talked about, that the American Legion came up with a flag code for the United States flag. There was American Legion baseball in many communities. I don't know if it was in Clarkston or not.
We don't have a team right now. They do over at the other Legion on Mary Sue.
Oh, okay. There's Boys and Girl Scouts State, Boys State, Girl Scout State. And that you helped, the American Legion helped start the American Heart Association in 1946. I mean, American Heart Association was a very small little organization, and the American Legion boosted it up. So that was really interesting. And you were making contributions to mental health in the 1950s. Right. So just a lot of things. Now that's the National Legion, and POW, full accounting of the POW of 1966. You contributed, the American Legion has contributed to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Yep. And you sponsored legislation on Agent Orange, which was certainly the Vietnam War era illness. So there are lots of different things there. But I didn't tell you about, what? Go ahead.
Okay. One of the big confusions that people have is between the VFW and the American Legion.
Okay, so tell us.
Because we are both
veterans
organizations. Yeah. In order to be a member of the VFW, you had to have served in an area of combat.
Okay.
So like if it was World War II, you had to either have been in the Pacific or in Europe. That requirement is not part of the American Legion. In the American Legion, if you had 1 day on active duty, you're qualified to join the Legion. And the difference, in our opinion, is that when you serve in the military, you serve at the pleasure of the service, Army, Navy. They tell you where you're going to serve. You don't have much choice. So they are as much as risk as those who serve in combat areas.
Right, everybody could be wherever.
That's right. So that's,
You don't
And
get to
then
pick.
American Legion, though, also allows children, is it, or members of military
well, we have
families?
actually 3 groups.
Yes.
Okay.
There's the Legion itself.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Sons of the American Legion, which are male family members of veterans.
Okay.
And then there's the auxiliary.
Oh,
That's
okay.
me.
Now, technically, the Sons of the American Legion is a subset of the Legion,
Okay.
but the auxiliary is completely separate. Although I'm proud to say that here in Clarkston, we work pretty good together.
We do.
Well, I was just, I've been here a long time, so I was looking for things that you did. So why don't you have you got a list of
Oh,
some
I have a list. It's one of my favorite things to do because just we're a smaller organization. Not everybody knows what we do. So I picked out kind of the highlights of things that we do for the community. Excuse me. So the first thing that our American Legion Post has done forever and a day is lead the parades in town. 4th of July, when we used to have Labor Day, obviously we put together the Memorial Day parade in the service, but we are always the very first ones honoring the colors, of course, and it is great pleasure that gives us to be able to represent ourselves in the community that way. Also, I love to share this information because some people don't know about it, but any student who is in their junior year of high school has the opportunity to attend Boy State or Girl State. And that is a program through our organization, but you don't have to be a member or the child's of a member or related in any way.
Any community member.
Yep, anyone can go, anyone can apply. At this time, if there are students, male students who are interested in Boy State, they could contact our post and apply. The Girl State applications have ended for this year, but we would always be willing to talk to anyone about their interest for next year because it really is a great program. If you're not familiar with it, they set up and run a government simulation for a week. You start at the very basic levels of organized government and go all the levels up through the state. And then there is also Girls Nation, which is the same format, but is on a state level, federal level, versus just the state level.
So are you paying their way? Is that the?
Yes, so for our organization, we offer each year however many students that we can afford to send, but you don't have to be sponsored by an American Legion to attend. There are other groups who could sponsor. Obviously, the attendance has gone down a little bit over the past few, probably 10 years or so, but it's still a very vibrant program. And we just do everything we can to share the word. And I will talk to anybody about Girl State or Boy State. I attended Girl State when I was younger, and I went for 4 years as a counselor, and I can't say enough good things in general about the program, what you learn while you're there, and the opportunities that it affords you afterwards.
So the deadline for Boy State is?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure what the hard deadline is, but I do know that it's in process right now.
Well, we do have a telephone number that we're putting on
Yes.
a last, and so they can
Call that number.
call that number
Yep.
and get the answer to that.
Absolutely.
And it's for a junior in high school?
Yes, the program overall is for juniors in high school. So you attend at the end of your junior year. It's right after school gets out.
And Tom Middleton, our former county commissioner, and his wife Kathy, both obviously attended Boy State and the other Girl State, but they speak very highly of the
Community.
experience.
Well, I actually, the student, I can't tell you what his name is, but he actually won the DAR Good Citizen Award, and he had attended Boy State.
Wonderful.
And so I know, I drive by that, your post every day, pretty much. And so there's other things going on, like blood drives.
We do. We host blood drives. I want to say we're probably about quarterly right now, where we're doing that quarterly. They come in and do that. And a lot of our members are the ones who are going in and donating blood, but that is also open to the public. We provide honor guard and post the colors for a variety of community events.
Just the National Day of Prayer
Right.
was
Yes,
just
yes.
recently.
Right.
And you were there.
We do the The Senior Community Center has both a Veterans Day luncheon in November and a Veterans Celebration in July, and we are honor guard for both of those.
Well, you open your hall, and I
Yes.
assume that some of your members are helping cook that, or
Well, honestly, for that event, for
Yeah.
the Veterans Day luncheon, it's kind of a shared thing. The Senior Community Center provides all the food, and we provide the hall and then, of course, the honor guard and kind of the setup for that event.
it's very nice.
Oh,
keep,
of
keep
course.
Going.
It
keep
is our
going.
honor. It is,
because
believe
it's,
me,
you're an
it is our
asset to
honor
the
do
community.
stuff.
So tell us more.
We wanted to mention, while we are a private group, most of the events that we do are open to the public. So we do social fundraisers. We'll have dances or like maybe parties where we're having some activities. And we do those in order to raise funds for the activities and the programs that we're working on. And some of those are very important to us because they're helping. The purpose of us raising money is to help local veterans. So some of those things that we are working on, we do have scholarships. Right now we have 3 scholarships available to any child, grandchild of anyone in our post. So anyone in our membership is eligible for scholarship. Of course, I mentioned Girls State, Boys State. And then we have troop support, where at least once a year, we do troop packing.
A
We
packing
pack up
party.
the boxes, do a packing party to send. We usually do try to find a local, someone who grew up here in Clarkston. But if we can't find that, then we always, so far, have been able to find someone who is willing to accept boxes for their unit. We do support for POW MIA League of Families, and we also support the homeless veterans down in Detroit several times a year. And the biggest thing for us is poppy distribution. So if you're not familiar, a poppy is really the symbol of both for the American Legion and for veterans. And so we distribute poppies throughout the year, and those funds are held separately, and they are for the use. We look at them as use for emergency services for veterans in need. So if there's someone, a lot of times there's some kind of medical, something that has come up, and what if it's not covered or additional funds are needed, and sometimes all their funds are going towards what they need, and maybe they need help with a car payment or something like that. So there's a vetting process, so we're not just handing out money, but it is available as a resource for veterans in the community.
So are you selling your poppies, or are you taking donations?
Donations.
Yes.
Donations.
We don't sell them, we
can't sell them.
distribute them.
But
So,
donations.
We collect for them all year. And if
Okay.
you were to come to our post, you can make a donation and get a poppy. But then also we're out and about in the community. A couple of weekends ago, we were at Kroger over on Sashabaw distributing poppies. And then we have some plans later in the summer for more in Clarkston and in Ortonville.
So our number one reason for existence, if you will, is that we're there to support needy vets. We spend a lot of time and a lot of money in providing emergency funds to veterans. In our county, we're really fortunate. We have a veterans service group down at the county office that are very good, and they work really hard to help vets. But the typical problem that they have is that it takes time for them to get the resources that the vets need. We can step in when somebody is really up against it and provide them with some monetary assistance on a short-term basis.
And we vet all veterans to make
Yeah.
sure that
Well, it's you're a wonderful asset to the community, and you've been here many years, 100 years. So that's just a real special thing, and we want everybody to come to that if they have time or they would like to. We want them to come to Memorial Day, but while they're in the cemetery, Mr. Sennabaum, you and I have been partnering with the Daughters of the American Revolution and the Clarkston Junior High American History classes. And we just happen to have been in the cemetery for about 3 hours today, or 4, whatever. And you want to talk about what your kids have done and the project they have done.
Yes, we've been doing an academic service-building project through the school in which the kids research either Clarkston town founders like Jeremiah Clark or Butler Holcomb, or Civil War veterans, and we have 50+ Civil War veterans buried in Lakeview Cemetery. The kids research them, they find the regiment they served in, and then they make biographical videos about each of these people. They take that video and attach it to a QR code, get a grave marker, they place it on the grave, which is what we did today, and then they clean their headstones and spruce up the area. So as you're in the cemetery for Memorial Day, if you walk around, you'll find Civil War vets buried all over the place, and look for the grave markers. Take your cell phone, and all you do is put the camera on the QR code, and up pops their 2-minute video telling what this person did during the Civil War, what their life was like before and afterwards, and it turns it into an immersive educational experience being in the cemetery.
Yes, we kind of talk about the people who are buried in the cemetery as a museum of people. Each one of those headstones is a person, was a person, I guess, and they had a life. And as I went around today, listening to their videos, some of these veterans, they came home and died right away because war was not easy for Civil War veterans. And this, I hope, makes the Civil War come alive for kids. These were people that went out. It wasn't just a general or a unit. My best story is one soldier found a door and put straw on it, and that was his bed, because otherwise he would have been sleeping in the mud.
And did.
Yes. Yeah. And so the QR codes are there. Most of the time you'll see a GAR sign, and that's Grand Army of the Republic, and that's a Civil War. So you've done the Town Fathers, and you've done many of the Civil War veterans. So if people have time as they're walking back, take a look at what the students have done to make these people's lives go further.
They shall not be forgotten.
They will not be forgotten. That's good.
That's awesome.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you today. And thank you all for coming. Thank you, Don,
Thank you.
Don, and Amy, and Alex. And
Thank you for
bring
having
a
us.
chair.
So can we do a paid announcement? No. Anybody that wants to join that's a veteran, we'll be more than happy to have you come. We are particularly anxious to get women to join us. Right now we have 2 women in the post. We would like a whole lot more.
Okay.
But all veterans are
But
welcome.
all
Veterans.
veterans are welcome. Yep. If they are male heirs, sons of a veteran, so your uncle, your dad, your grandfather, all of them qualify for membership in the Sons of the American Legion.
Okay.
And then if they are female, they join the auxiliary. They get
And we are always desperate for honor guard people.
Honor guard.
It's hard to get honor guard
Yeah.
people.
So honor guard is what we do when a veteran dies. We go to whatever cemetery, including Great Lakes, and we assist. Typically, the service, Army, Navy, Marines, will send a group to do taps and present the flag.
And that happened in 2000. They passed a legislation that they have to have at least 2 active military people. One of them has to be the branch the person served in.
Okay.
So we, depending on the circumstances, sometimes we will play taps if the group that's there needs some help.
Usually we do.
And usually they do. And then we will fire a rifle volley
Okay.
for those.
So is that the 21 gun salute? Or is that like 3 times?
They call a 21 gun salute, but when we march 4th of July weekend downtown, that is called a rifle volley. It
Okay.
is not a 21 gun
Okay.
salute.
And that's what we fire, is a rocket volley.
Okay. And you're doing that, you're also doing that at the Memorial Day
Yes, we
Program.
will do that
Okay.
Memorial Day also.
So
Any
there,
veteran that is being interred, wherever they are, if they want to call us and ask for help, hopefully we can help them.
well, there you have it. You have membership. You're welcome to join the American Legion, the Sons of the American Legion, or the American Legion Auxiliary. And if you are a veteran and you would like to have the honor volley at your funeral, you know where to go. The American Campbell, Richmond, post
American Legion, post
63, American Legion. It's on M15, just north of the Expressway. So thank you so much for coming in today and sharing
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for
your
having us.
program, and we hope that you have a great program on Memorial Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.